and God were thrown out of the schools. Fast forward to the biggest problems in public schools now. Drugs are rampant. Sexual immorality is rampant. Not that that wasn't going on in the 1950s, it was, but certainly not to the extent that it is today. And having to deal with kids bringing guns to the schools. And even rural schools are not immune. Remember, not too many years ago in Lancaster County, an Amish school in Nickel Mines, Lancaster County, little Amish children who meant no harm to anything, and they were slaughtered mercilessly. America has turned their back on God. And when you do that, you reap what you sow. That's the first problem. And the second problem, also from the 1960s, there was a very popular theological thought out there that gained a lot of traction. And what was that theological thought? God is dead. A lot of people bought into that. A lot of people liked that. Why would somebody like to follow that way? Because if God is dead, there are no moral absolutes. There is no right, there is no wrong. In other words, just do whatever you want to do. Whatever feels good, whatever you need to do, go ahead and do it. And if there's no moral absolutes, there's no one to answer to, it's just a free-for-all. We are reaping what was sown in the 1960s, some 50 years ago, in the removal of God from the schools, and this theological idea. Do you think the events of the late 60s were accidental? With psychedelic generation and all of that? Those were the first fruits of decisions that had been made in the 60s. And so we have people today who have bought into that, who want nothing to do with God, because if you have God, then you have to toe the line. A lot of people think that if you become a Christian, you have to give up having fun. That's not true. Right, Beverly? Your women's gatherings each spring, they're a lot of fun. Now, I've never been there, but I've seen some of the things that you guys have done, you ladies have done. We can have tremendous fun as Christians, just not in the ways of the world. That's a lie of the devil. Our God is a holy God. And when you begin to plant seeds that lead people away, the results are tragic, and we are seeing the fruit of decisions that have been made in the past. We are seeing people who have an agenda, and they don't care what happens to accomplish their agenda. Destroy people, destroy whatever. It's a scorched earth philosophy. Kill anything you can that stands in our way of getting what we want. And ultimately, this Supreme Court fight boils down to one main issue. Roe v. Wade. Abortion. There are certain people who say, we care for women's health, as if others in the other political party don't care for women's health. They don't care about women's health. What they care about is protecting the abortion industry. Because honestly, that collects billions of dollars. People have gotten extremely wealthy in the killing of babies. America will have to answer to God. So when you see all of this going on in this big fight in the U.S. Senate over the Supreme Court, they can say all that they want, but it boils down to one thing: protecting abortion. Not that they care about women, because we've seen they really don't care about individual people. They want to protect their agenda. The money-making machine. And they can make billions of dollars. Yes, Beverly?
You read the book Piercing the Darkness?
Okay.
There's a war going on in the heavens right now.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Frank Peretti.
yeah.
I'm just trying to think. I know I've read that. It's been a while, but Frank Peretti.
Right.
Excellent author.
Right, I love his work. There, right now, while we're waiting for all this, there's that war going on between, God's army and Satan's. And our prayers are the only thing that will break that. We have to pray for our country, pray for the right thing to be done, because our prayers break that Satan has to run. So we want to win, we have to pray.
This is not a political battle.
It's a spiritual battle.
It is not a moral battle. Those are elements of it, but it ultimately, at its heart and soul, is a spiritual battle. Satan got a foothold in this country in the 60s. Do you think he was upset that Madeline and Mary O'Hare succeeded in having God pulled out of our public schools? Satan was thrilled about that. And then there's God is Dead movement that really gained a lot of traction. What's scary is that there is a U.S. Senator, and I'm not going to name names, I'm not going to name what state he's from, it's not Pennsylvania, who has come out in the past as being extremely anti-God, anti-Christian. And he's one of the faces you're seeing in these hearings. One of the men on that Senate panel has already made a war against Christians and God one of his top priorities. What we see are not just politically motivated people, but evil people. Those who are evil, who will do anything to get what they want, to protect what they need to protect. That is not the way of Jesus Christ. Yes, there is a spiritual battle. I love to say this. I've read the end of the book. We win. You read the last chapters of the book of Revelation, the end of the book. We win. God's people win. Jesus Christ wins. Satan is cast into the lake of fire forever and ever. One of the most effective tools that the enemy is using is to lead people to believe that there is no devil, that there are no demons, that hell does not exist. Read just a couple of weeks ago something that Jonathan Cahn had written, that the Pope, the modern Pope, has declared there is no hell. The leader of the Roman Catholic Church says there is no hell. We're in a world of hurt. A couple of years ago, I was living with my brother and sister-in-law, and we were at the dinner table, and I happened to bring up about demons. And my sister-in-law says, "Do you actually believe in those?" I said, "Yeah. Why?" I said, "Well, Jesus cast out demons. If demons don't exist, then what was he doing?" You read in the Gospel of Mark, it's just all over Mark's Gospel. It's in all four, but especially Mark's Gospel. If there are no demons and Jesus is casting out demons, either A, Jesus is crazy and doesn't know what he's doing, or he's a big liar and a deceiver trying to lead us to believe something exists that really doesn't, or there actually were demon spirits that he was casting out. Do you believe in Jesus or not? And if you do, then you've got to believe in the demonic because he cast demons out. He dealt with it all the time. In fact, we are told, we are taught in the beginning of his ministry, before before he went down to the Jordan, before he went to begin the public phase of his ministry. He was in the desert, and who came to him? Satan came to him. The Bible is extremely clear that there are demonic forces, there are evil forces, and they will do whatever they can to win. And we must not fall into the trap of fighting them with flesh and blood. Paul addresses that in Ephesians. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers of this unseen world. Paul understood that, and we need to understand that. We need to pray. We need to pray for God to move in this country. It has been well over 150 years since the last great revival. Now, we've had little pockets of revival here and there, but I mean widespread revival. You've got to go back into the 1800s. We need a move of God's Spirit. We will win, we will prevail, but we need to pray. And that's why I said we need to pray for our country. And the one thing that I want to ask, and probably all of you are asking the same things, that actually if this FBI report comes back and says they find nothing, are these Democrats going to change their votes? No. They've already decided they're going to vote no. So why go through this big charade when they've already decided? There's nothing that anybody can do to persuade them. And why have they said no? Because they're protecting abortion rights. In the Old Testament, there was a king and a queen, Ahab and Jezebel. And the scripture says they were evil people, wicked people. They killed innocent children, and God judged them. And God will judge America too. We need to pray. Those guys, those women, they're not going to change their mind. There's nothing the FBI could say that's going to change their minds. They've already decided they're going to vote no. They said that. In fact, remember, before the nomination was even made, they had blanks. We oppose blank. They didn't know the name until the name was made, but they already opposed whoever it was. We need to pray for America. We need to move in God's Spirit. Okay, next 2 weeks we continue on Jacob, then we move into the New Testament. Thank you much.